Mr. Tony Hadley of Spandau Ballet. Tony, what's going on?
Hello. I'm all right. I'm very well, thank you. Very, very well. In the English countryside, my sixth move in 6 months, so this is a permanent home now.
Wow.
It's been very chaotic in my life at the moment, but we've finally established ourselves in the heart of England. So
very nice. Well, thank you for calling me from London, England tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, that's all right, mate. No worries. That's good.
Now, I know you were born in London, England, there in London, and tell me a little bit about your upbringing there in London, and who were your musical influences growing up?
Born 2nd June 1960. Really real kind of community vibe. Not a particularly wealthy area where I grew up, but a good area. Everyone looked after each other, and went to a good C of E Clerkenwell parochial school. Yeah, it was great. It was a good sort of honest upbringing, if you like. London was very, very, very different then. I mean, growing up, I was only born 15 years after the Second World War, so that kind of makes me feel really old, actually. But no, it was a great atmosphere, great primary school. Then I went on to grammar school, and that's eventually where we formed the band that became Spandau Ballet. And London. We didn't have the technology that exists now. It was a completely different time and place, but it was a good place to grow up, definitely.
Let's just back up a little bit. Now, I know you went to school and you were thinking about studying medicine, and then you won a holiday singing competition. What was that experience like? And I mean, how did that really change your life?
Well, I did. I wanted to be a surgeon, actually, and I was really into the biology of things and loved it. I still love it even to this day. I kind of realised I wasn't very good at the maths and physics and chemistry. And to be a doctor, you really got to be good at that. You don't want to get the wrong. I'll just give you 500 mils instead of 100. So you don't want to get that wrong. So I kind of realised that wasn't going to happen, and started getting into music. First album that I sort of had bought for me, my uncle had a record shop, was The World of David Bowie. And so Bowie, Roxy Music, Elton John, Queen, all those, Bebop Deluxe, all those bands become a massive influence. And then, of course, punk as well. But no, I just went into a singing competition, and I won, and it was all good, and everyone's going, hey, I think you're not bad, young lad. I was only about 13 at the time. But I realised then that I signed a few autographs, and I realised then that was what I wanted to do. Singing was going to be my life.
And how did you meet up with the other members of the group Spandau Ballet? How did you guys all get together?
We were all in school together. We were all at the same school, Dame Alice Owens, and one day I was practicing the drums in the rehearsal in the music room, and then Johnny Keeble, Gary Kemp, Steve Norman, a guy called Mike Ellison as well, and a couple of girls came in. John Keeble took over the drums. I realised he was far better than I ever was going to be at the drums. And they, I used to go and watch them, and they formed this kind of little group, which I thought was rubbish. And then it was Steve Norman actually who said, "Look, Tone, we're looking for a singer." And I said, "Hey, look no further. It's, I can do the job better than anybody else." And really, I went down. The first song we ever sung together was "Oh Carol, don't let us steal your heart away," and the old Chuck Berry number, and that was the start of what was to become Spandau Ballet, really.
And I know you guys were originally named The Cut. Like, how did you guys come up with the name Spandau Ballet for the band?
Well, we were originally called The Root.
Right.
Then we were called The Cut. Then we were called The Makers. Then we were called Gentry. Then we didn't have a name. And finally, there was this massive explosion, this new romantic kind of explosion on the club scene in London. And it was Bob Elms, who's a journalist and radio jock. He was over in Berlin, and he saw it graffitied on a toilet wall. I remember when he came down, we were rehearsing down the Holloway Road in North London, and he said, "I've got the name for the band." And then when he told us, it was like, "What? Band what?" And what was it? It sounds a bit weird. Anyway, we thought it was so weird, we decided to keep it.
Exactly.
Well, you're always looking for something different as a band, so it kind of stuck, and that was it. And obviously, people took notice of the name, and then with the Blitz thing and Billy's, and the rest is kind of history, really.
Wonderful. And then, how did you guys get signed to your first record contract?
We were sort of, I suppose, in a sense, the musical. The club scene was going on in London with the Blitz, Club for Heroes, Billy's, all those kind of clubs. And we were sort of become the musical kind of spearhead of it, really, if you like. All the bright young things were going to the clubs. Everyone was looking cool. All the journalists wanted to get involved. They wanted to see what was happening on the London scene with all this fashion, music and everything. And, of course, we would play occasionally at the Blitz Club. And we got recognised by the national press. And they were saying, this band is fantastic. They dress kind of weird, but they make good music. And that really was the start of everything. And we played on a ship, on a battleship, an old Second World War battleship on the River Thames. And I remember Chris Blackwell from Island Records came along, and he was very keen to sign us. But eventually we signed to Chrysalis Records.
And I know you guys released countless singles, including some of my favorites, The Freeze, Musclebound, and what's the background behind the one of the first singles, To Cut a Long Story Short?
Cut a Long Story Short was actually recorded before we signed a record deal, so we were pretty certain that we were going to get a record deal. To cut a long story short, it's about the bright young things in London. It's about looking cool. It's a bit weird. I mean, lyrically, it's a bit avant-garde, really. It's a bit obscure in places. I mean, Gary's a brilliant songwriter, but even sometimes I've even said, what's that about? It's kind of, but it was our first single in the UK, and it went top 5, which was for a new band was phenomenal. It was just incredible.
How did the third album, True, come about, and how did that famous tune even get invented? Like, what was the process on that?
It was. I remember that Steve Norman was getting into lots of percussion, and he then started to learn to play the saxophone, which had, I think, quite an influence on Gary's songwriting. The band was kind of growing up, and we decided that we would go somewhere really beautiful and lush, and we went to the Bahamas to record it. And I think that atmosphere, and we were having a great time as a band, and we had a feeling that this was, we had to make a great album. Otherwise we would have got dropped, probably. But so True, was a combination of Steve getting into some great percussion, adopting the saxophone, and Gary's songwriting. Kind of, he got into this real kind of soul, kind of mellow vibe in terms of writing, and I think the atmosphere, and also changing producer Tony Swain and Steve Jolly, and the combination of all those parts. We came up with True. I mean, I didn't even think, to be honest, I didn't think True was a single. I don't think any of us did. But once the DJs got hold of it and they said, this has got to be a number one. This is a big hit in America for us, which was the first ever hit. That was number 4 for 4 weeks, which was, I mean, wow, your dreams have come true kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just told that the song True is going to be a part of the movie Crazy Stupid Love. Is that correct?
Is it? I don't know.
I think I saw it on the website.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, I don't do websites. I don't do computers.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, no, Tony, congratulations. It's going to be a part of the movie.
Oh, thanks very much. I mean, it's been used in so many films now. Yeah. I mean, The Wedding Singer being the most famous.
Right.
I am the wedding singer.
Too funny. Well, I love playing that song on my show. I get a lot of requests for it. It's just a dynamic song.
Yeah, it's good. Good tune.
It's a good tune. And so what's the story behind the great follow-up single, Gold? It had a little bit more jazzier feel to it. What's the story behind that tune?
Gold is, it's a tune about self-belief, really. I mean, that's a tune that whenever we're doing festivals, it's pretty much one of the last songs in the set. You just know that everybody is going to sing every single word. It's almost like become like a football anthem as well. And John Keeble from Spandau Ballet is going to be with us playing drums in America. His daughter has just qualified at university, and she said, "Oh, Dad, it's amazing. You go to the student bar at night, and one of the last songs they always play is always Gold, and all the students, it's quite amazing actually." And so it's funny, we get a lot of younger people coming to the concerts and really, probably dug up their mum and dad's albums and have got into Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, and Culture Club.
And then your last American hit single over here in the States was a part of the follow-up album Parade, titled "Only When You Leave." How was that song invented?
It's a bit of a rockier one, that one, really.
Mm-hmm.
We normally Gary used to come in the rehearsal room and just sort of say, "Yeah, I've got an idea, I've got a song here," and would normally have a verse and a chorus, and just sort of start mucking around on the guitar. 9 times out of 10 it was always on the guitar, and we'd just start picking it up, and that sounds like a good tune, and just start routining it as a band. And it goes. I mean, I don't know what number it got to in the States, but it was a big hit in Britain and the rest of Europe as well, which was it's great. So I mean, I still play it now. I mean, that's the thing. When I'm coming over to the States, I mean, this will be the first time that I've been to America and actually played, although I've been over lots of times to visit. It'll be the first time since, I think, 1984, 85.
Wow.
So, too long.
Now, tell me a little bit more, Tony, about what the personal projects that you're working on with your music and what's coming up for you.
Working on a new solo album at the moment, and funny enough, I was in Miami a few weeks ago, and we were doing a show over there, and I got introduced to Barry Gibb through a friend from the Bee Gees, and so popped over to Barry's house, had a cup of tea, as you do, and so I'm going to come back over at some point, and we're going to do myself and Barry Gibb and his son Ashley, who's a really cool dude, and we're going to do some writing together. I met Barry years ago, but this is the first time in years that I met him. So it'll be a great opportunity to get together, write some songs, and the album should be released, I think, next May, next June.
Wonderful, Tony. So we broadcast all over the world on this radio show. So where can people go? What website's the best to get more information on you?
Oh, now you're asking me. I think it's Tony Hadley.com.
Yes, TonyHadley.com.
TonyHadley.com, yeah. So they can get me on that. Or they can go and visit that, yeah. I don't do Twitter or Facebook, but...
Yeah, I hear you. It's all the technology stuff. I mean, you and I hate to say it, but we're kind of old school, you know? We're not... I mean, I'm not really computer illiterate either way, in any way, so don't worry about that.
No, I just listen. Everyone in the offices uses computers. In the studio, Phil Taylor is brilliant on the computer. My wife Ali, she's great on the computer. No, I pen and paper. Pen and paper.
Exactly. Well, Tony,
much easier.
Tony, thank you so much.
Well, just really looking forward to coming over, and we want to come over a hell of a lot more, and just enjoy the band, have a good time.
Thanks, Tony. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks very much, mate. Cheers.